this is Zaro and this is This Paul Zarathustra. This is my first video in English. The topic of this video today is something that is clearly just for myself. It's basically a reminder of what I put on two portable consoles that I'm lending to an Italian friend that is coming here in England, and I just want to make sure that everything I put on these two consoles is worth of his time, and it's also an opportunity to talk about the games that I picked for him, since he hasn't experienced the Nintendo DS and the PlayStation Vita libraries. Since I own more than just one PS Vita and one 3DS, I just wanted to offer him basically a summary of what he didn't have the opportunity to play. And in the meantime, I also picked some of my personal favorite games. And to be fair, by recording this video, I will have a complete list of what is on these two consoles. So if he doesn't play these games, or if he doesn't even try them at least once, I will surely emotionally blackmail him. So yeah, without further ado, let's start and see what's inside this PS Vita and this 3DS. Ka-ching! So I will start talking about the PS Vita titles that I picked for him. I'm mainly starting from the PS Vita because commonly this console is known for being a forgotten console by Sony, and lots of people think that PS Vita has no games whatsoever, which is not totally correct. But I'll explain you. So, as you can see, this PS Vita has been completely opened up. We have Retro Arch, Arc. The system is currently set in Italian, just to facilitate my friend. But what is most important here are games. So I'm not gonna explain you how to hack a PS Vita. I'm not gonna explain you how to install Retro Arch or Arc on it. There are plenty of tutorials available on YouTube. This is not the point of the video. What I really want to discuss here are the titles that I picked for this friend of mine, and I would also like to revisit with all of you some of his old games that many have forgotten, but I think that most of his games are still pretty relevant. Remember one thing, some of these games are just portable ports of games that are available on PS4 or other home consoles. When I decided to include these ports, it's mainly because it's the only way that I have to help my friend try some of these games. But in my opinion, if it's possible, it's always preferable to play these games on a home console, with some exceptions, but let's start and then I'll try to make my point. So in the first page of the live area, we have Odinsphere Letreze, which is a portable version of Odinsphere. This game is also available on PS4 and PS5. I picked this portable version because, as far as I know, the PS Vita version is quite good, and holiday sphere. It's marvelous on home console, so I can only assume that on this OLED screen of this PS Vita Model 1000 will be also magnificent to witness. The second game that I picked, it's Tales of Arts R. So why I picked Tales of Arts R here? It's mainly because Tales of Arts R and Tales of Innocence R are two remasters of Nintendo DS games that have not been released in Europe and America. So my point here is just to show how Tales of can be adapted into a portable game with product values that are still, sufficient to be considered modern games. I did play Tales of Arts R, and I reviewed it back when it was released. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't put it in my favorite Tales of titles, but it's still a very enjoyable experience. So here we have Tales of Innocence R, which has been fan translated, and this game I adored. I really liked the Nintendo DS version. I still haven't completed the PS Vita re-release, but as a fan of Sailor Moon, I can only appreciate the premise of the story. So we have a bunch of kids that are reincarnations of basically gods and goddesses of ancient times, and there's this theme of predestination that is also in common with Sailor Moon. I know the analogy ends here, but it's just this trope of reincarnation and connecting to past lives. It's a kind of trope that I really like. So yeah, both these games have been, of course, ported to PS Vita with 3D graphics and brand new gameplay mechanics. And we all know that Tales of titles are always well known for the very nice character design and exhilarating battle systems. So yeah, I would recommend these two titles, especially if you're a fan of the Tales of series. Then we have Muramasa Rebirth. Just like Odin's Sphere Leftrazer, this is another Vanillaware game, and Muramasa was previously released on Nintendo Wii, but the PS Vita version has been heavily reworked and adapted to the PS Vita hardware. So of course, as normal, waggling the Wiimote, and we have updated graphics. We also have DLCs that expand the story and the gameplay, and since my friend is a big Vanillaware fanboy, I hoped that Muramasa Rebirth, which in my opinion is the definitive edition of Muramasa, would also meet his expectations in terms of quality. Then we have Gravity Rush. Personally, I didn't appreciate it much, because
I always found Gravity Rush to be lacking in terms of gameplay complexity, but I do understand why people love this series. I completed the first Gravity Rush, and I also own a copy of the second episode, but I never really uh, completed it. I only got the Nier Automata collaboration costume and the Phantasy Star Online 2 costume because I love these two games. So yeah, just like all the previous games, Gravity Rush has a stellar art direction, so of course I'm sure that he will enjoy it. Then we have a series that is not very known in the West, but it's basically a Sony Japan franchise that was pretty appreciated in Japan, but not very known here. There are other titles connected to No Heroes Allowed, but in this case, I just picked this one because I wanted him to have a grasp of what Sony Japan was making for PS Vita at the time. And then we have Tearaway. So Tearaway was also another game that I reviewed back when it was released. I liked it, but I think my approach to Tearaway was wrong at the time. And when I say wrong, I mean that I approached Tearaway as a 3D platform. And in a certain sense, it is a 3D platform, but it's more than that. And it's 3D adventure where the jump function is introduced in the middle of the game, not even at the start. So, of course, platforming is not the priority here. Tearaway is a great benchmark for the PS Vita hardware. It uses all its unique features, and the PS4 port is also very fun. And if you have not tried Tearaway on PS Vita or PS4, please try it. You won't regret it. Then we have the portable version of Final Fantasy X HD. So personally, I'm not a fan of how Square Enix and Virtuos handled the remaster of this game, especially when it comes to the soundtrack and the 3D models of Tidus and Yuna. I completely despise what they did to their faces, but regardless of that, my friend has not experienced Final Fantasy X, so even if I'm not really fond of the game, because when I played Final Fantasy X, I was already familiar with Grandia 2 and Tears of Symphonia, and since all these three titles share lots of common themes and elements, I wasn't really surprised by Final Fantasy X. Of course, the production value on PS2 was stellar, but yeah. This remaster on PS Vita is absolutely fine. What I did in this case was using a hacked version of the PS Vita port to include the Japanese dub, which in my opinion enhance the experience tremendously. So if you have the chance, please play Final Fantasy X with the Japanese dub. Then we have a PS1 game, so it's Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's a classic, there's no need to make an introduction for this game. What I did in this case was using the fan translation made by Gemini some years ago. So this version of Symphony of the Night, it's basically the Japanese version. So it includes the Japanese dub and a retranslation of the few text, the few conversations that the main characters have throughout the game. It also has 2 familiars, but of course not all the Saturn's bonus. Then we have one of my personal favorite game ever, Tomba, also known in Europe as Tombi. Yeah, it has been re-released recently on all the current gaming platforms, so maybe playing the PS1 version today is not really needed, but it was the only way for me to make an experience Tomba. Then we have Deception 4. This is the extended version that was released after the vanilla version of the game. So Nightmare Princess, it's an additional scenario for the game with a different main character. In this case, I only wanted him to try at least one title of the Kagero franchise, also known, well, not also known, it's Deception, yeah. But I think the second or the first title was released in America with the correct name, Kagero, but I might be wrong. So yeah, we have that one. It's basically a Japanese take on Dungeon Keeper, but with pretty women because it's Koei Tecmo. So yeah. Then we have another game called Lost Dimension. I'm not particularly fond of this game either, mainly because it was affiliated with 4U Corporation, and I don't really appreciate any of their games. But in this case, I decided to include Lost Dimension because my friend really appreciated Nausea, which is a visual novel released on PC and Nintendo Switch with this mechanic that basically changes the story in each playthrough, and there's always a different culprit and you must find a way to identify it. And Lost Dimension has some similarity, but it's also a pretty cheap game, I must admit. Still, it's pretty unique for what it offers. Then we have Luminous Electronic Symphony. In this case, I wanted to include a puzzle game, a pretty good puzzle game actually, developed by a favorite game designers of mine. So yeah, we have Tatsuya Mitsuguchi behind Luminous, and this is everything I need to know to include a game to a console for a friend. So if you never tried Luminous, it's basically a Tetris with some rhythm game elements, a stellar soundtrack, and in this case also great visuals. So I would recommend Luminous to anyone who hasn't tried it yet. Then we have Catherine Full Body. So this version of Catherine Full Body was never released in the West, but there's a way to play it thanks to some fans. It has been translated into English, it's fully playable from start to finish, and this version of the game includes PS3 assets, so the game runs with enhanced graphics. And we have Dead or Alive 5 Plus. In this case, I wanted to include a fighting game, but he wasn't too familiar with. Personally, I would have preferred to introduce him to Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate. That game is not available, so this is what I can include here. Dead or Alive 5 Plus, it's substantially a port of the 5th chapter Dead or Alive. I'm pretty sure it lacks some characters, but it's good enough. Then we have Street Fighter Cross Tekken. So this friend of mine is a big fan of Street Fighter, but he's not too familiar with Tekken. This port is pretty good. So I thought, why not giving him the opportunity to use all these Street Fighter characters that he's familiar with and get him introduced to the Tekken cast. Well, you know, the modern Tekken cast. Of course, everyone played Tekken 3, but Street Fighter Cross Tekken includes some of the characters that have been introduced in the most recent episodes. So yeah, this game was sacked when it was released due to the jump system and the DLCs. And of course, I do understand the point of the criticism, but after all the patches that were released, and you know, Capcom realizing that the jump system was kind of broken, I think that all the patches kind of fixed it. And I'm a big fan of the two franchises. They made lots of promotional videos for this game. At the end of the day, I will always see Street Fighter Cross Tekken as a good opportunity to get familiar with both the franchises, and at the same time to indulge in some sweet fan service. Then we have the three ports of SNK titles. We have Garo, Mark of the Wolves, The Last Blade 2, and the King of Fighters 97. All of these ports were developed by a pretty well-known Western developer that handled perfect ports. So all these three titles are very good on PS Vita. Also include a shader that reproduce the screen of a CRT. So yeah, especially if you like old SNK titles, give these games an opportunity, because all these ports are great. Then we have New Little King Story. So this is an enhanced version, well, supposedly enhanced version of the Wii title called Little King Story, but in my opinion, the Wii version stays the best, remains the best. Especially if you compare it to this game, but also the Steam port. Little King Story is not the same game if you take out the control system from it. And in this case, New Little King's story changes a lot of the art direction, which in my opinion was a horrible decision. Still, this game has its own merits, and that is why I included it on this PS Vita. We got to the third page of the live area. So we have Shiren the Wanderer, which is a long-running series by Chunsoft, now known as Spike Chunsoft. It's basically whatever game you know with the title Mystery Dungeon. Everything comes from here. So, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Chocobo Mystery Dungeon, whatever Mystery Dungeon, all is tied to Shiren. And since it's an historical franchise, I wanted them to try it. Then we have the PS Vita port of Sayonara Mihara Kawase. This is another, well, I wouldn't call it series because it's basically ported and ported and ported all over again, and there's no much difference between the iterations. But it's basically a platform with an emphasis on physics, and it's great. It's great. This port also includes the original version of the game, so you can try the modern version or the classic one. Then we have an indie title called Severed. So this game was made by Dreambox Studios, the same people behind Guacamelee, and it's a first-person dungeon crawler with a battle system based on touch inputs. I tried it on other platforms, but in my opinion, on the solid screen with the touch support, it's amazing. So, yeah. Then we have two ports from the PS3 generation. We have Flow and Flower. Both these games have been developed by that game company, and since these titles were considered so important for Sony at the time, I thought that including them on the PS Vita was important as well. Flower works very well on PS Vita, considering that everything is tied to the gyroscope of the console. I would have assumed that the experience would have been a little different compared to, you know, the gyroscope inside the DualShock 3, but apparently it works flawlessly. It's not 60 FPS, but it's still manageable, and honestly, I love Flower. So I would play it even if it were 10 FPS. Then we have Orishika. So this game, it's the second iteration of a franchise that was well known on PS1 in Japan. So Orishika, it's basically Over My Dead Body, and it's a turn-based JRPG with a very distinctive art style inspired by KyoA. Where basically you play as the blood of a family, and that has been cursed, and all the members of this family dies at a certain age. So you need to create descendants, and all these warriors inherit skills and affinities and anything relevant to the combat from their parents. And it's also very funny because at the start of the game, the PS Vita allows you to take a picture of yourself and then create an avatar in cell shading. So yeah, not known at all in the West, but pretty important for Japan. And we have Touch My Katamari. I wasn't sure if my friend ever played a Katamari Damacy game, but since there was one on PS Vita, why not? I would give my liver to have a new game by Keita Takahashi, but well, we can't have everything. Okay, this is odd. Some of you might not know it, but on PS Vita you can play the mobile version of all the three titles of the Professor Layton. I'm talking about the first trilogy that was originally released on Nintendo DS. On PS Vita, and I really want to show you. The mobile version is played by tilting the console, and by doing this you use, of course, touch controls, and it works just like on the phone. And the mobile version of Professor Layton features new animated scenes, additional content, and of course HD graphics. So yeah, I would recommend anyone who hasn't played the game on Nintendo DS to at least try the mobile version. It doesn't have to be on PS Vita, of course, but you know, if you can have it here, why not? Then we have two titles of the Atelier series. So we have Atelier Rorona Plus and Atelier Ayesha Plus. The plus at the end indicates that these are re-release. These games were originally released on PS3. Atelier Rorona, it's the first title of the Ardland trilogy, while Atelier Ayesha is the first title of the Dusk trilogy. I included both because the Ardland trilogy is when the Atelier series really started to shine in terms of brand awareness. While the Dusk series, even if it wasn't really popular, in my opinion, offers the best art direction. I love the character design of Hidari here, and yeah, both these games are worth of your time. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the live area. So now we have a bunch of visual novels. So why visual novels and why on PS Vita? Well, the answer is very, very simple. In my opinion, PS Vita is the best platform to play visual novels. Switch is too big. PS Vita has the best form factor. It's small enough the screen is bright, is colorful, um, and there are lots of visual novels available. So now I included some of the visual novels you can normally find on the market, but some of these are hacked versions that you cannot purchase. So yeah, let's start with Steins Gate. Steins Gate, it's one of the most celebrated modern visual novels. Sci-fi. I don't want to spoiler much about it, but if you don't have time to try the game, please at least watch the anime. The adaptation, like the Steins Gate anime, it's probably one of the best animated adaptation realized based on a visual novel. Realizing good anime series based on visual novels, it's hard as fuck, because all these games are basically super long books, and adapting the script of these games is not easy. So the PS Vita version of Steins Gate has some problems, as far as I know. The translation is not perfect. On PC, you can use a patch realized by the by a group of fans that basically fixes everything that needs to be fixed. But on PS Vita, it's still serviceable. Then we have Uno DLC. So, there's some history here. So, Uno is one of the most important sci-fi visual novels that are released. The problem is the original game had lots of ecchi scenes, so we're talking about very explicit scenes. So why DLC? Because recently was released as a remaster with new graphics, new music, and all these explicit scenes removed. But this is a port of the original game for PC 98, and found translated by fans. It works pretty well, and in Japan was included with the remake, but here it was never sold on for PS Vita. So yeah, then we have Akuoki Kyoto Wins. So Akuoki, it's one very important series of otome game, so visual novels aimed to a female audience. Lots of romance and samurais here. It's also one of the most successful franchises developed by Automate. I wanted to include it because I wanted to give the opportunity to my friend to see what the Fujoshi are playing these days. Then we have Danganronpa 1 and 2. These are enhanced versions of the two PSP games with touch control and, up-res graphics. My friend really I think he really tried to play Danganronpa on home console, but at some point he had to stop. So I think that by playing these games on PS Vita, it'll be much easier to, going back to them and put the console on sleep and then just restart whenever you want, just like opening a book. Then we have Zero Escape, the non-horror games. Sorry. So this is a collection. Of the first two titles of the Zero Escape series. Personally, I'm not a fan of neither of the two. 999 it's the first title. Vichu Last Reward should be the second one. I'm not even sure about the title at the moment. I completed 999 on Nintendo DS, and I tried this new version. I really love what they did with the two-way to play the game. So there's basically a narration mode and a visual novel mode, but eliminates all the parts that are narrated as in a book, and only dialogues remains. You can switch between the two, and of course there's also very nice additional dub, which was absent on Nintendo DS. Then we have police notes. So I think that from here onward, we will have only PS1 games. Why police notes and why it is here? So it's basically a visual novel. So I put it here. Police Notes, it's one of the earliest Hideo Kojima games. Certainly not one of the oldest, but still not known enough by the mainstream audience. This is the PS1 version. I couldn't put the Saturn version, which I prefer, because Saturn emulation on PS Vita, it's not existent. Then we have Xenogears. This version of Xenogears is has been undubbed, so it has Japanese dub in both game and cutscenes. Of course, Police Notes was fan translated by fans. It has never been released officially. Then we have Breath of Fire 4. Yeah, even Breath of Fire 4 has been undubbed, the opening has been subtitled, so yeah. Then we have Tales of Phantasia, another Tales of game. Yeah, I do like Tales of, so when I can, I like to introduce people to the series. Since my friend is so fan of fighting games, I thought that the battle system of Tales of Phantasia, Tales of Arzar and Tales of Innocence might interested him. So yeah, this PS1 version has been fan translated. It has never been released officially, and it's great. I'm still waiting for the PSP version. At some point, someone's gonna bring that to us. Then we have Kingsfield as an in-joke, because he hates Dark Souls just like I hate it. And this is basically his grandfather. Buster Groove, another in-joke. We both love Buster Groove. Then we have The Legend of Dragoon. This version of Legend of Dragoon has been undubbed and uncensored. And retranslated. Well, not specifically retranslated, but has been rewritten. Because we all know that the official translation of The Legend of Dragoon was pretty dry. Then we have other fan translations. We have Linda Cube again. Great. A typical JRPG. Popolo Croix Monogatari. The PS1 version. Another fan translated game. Shin Megami Tensei for PS1 You can easily play the SNES version without losing much, but the PlayStation 1 version has the best soundtrack in my opinion, so yes. Then we have Baroque. Just like Polis Notes, I would have preferred to include the Saturn version, but there's no Saturn emulation, so yes. Dr. Slump, because he likes Dr. Slump. Who doesn't? Then we have another Angel game, Street Fighter X Plus Alpha 2 or X2 Plus by Arica. Oh, I miss the soundtracks. With Ribbon, incredible game for PS1. I miss Nana Onsha. I miss them. That's all I can say. Then we have Brave Fencer Musashi. Currently, there is no on-dub version of this game. I wish there was. But yeah, this is just the American version of Brave Fencer Musashi, which is an action RPG for PS1. I don't talk about the second because it doesn't exist. I don't want to acknowledge it. The first Brave Fencer Musashi is great fun. If you haven't played it, go back and try it. And we have Alundra. This version of Alundra has been